Chapter 13. A song not meant for him. Evara followed. That was the part the story would need to remember. If anyone ever sang this badly enough to make it simple, if anyone ever put Orren at the center of a dark road and made love into a man's face turned bravely forward, then someone would need to say, she followed. One step, then another. Her bare feet touched the same stone his did, though the path did not feel the same beneath her. Under Orren it sounded. She heard each of his steps ahead of her, rough and uneven. One boot, one bare foot, one body refusing to fail because failing would give him too much time to think. Under Evara, the stone warmed. Not always. Not enough to comfort. But every few paces the floor seemed to recognize her before she set her weight down. A faint warmth spread beneath her soul, held for a breath, then faded once she passed, as if the house were placing its palm under her foot and taking it away before she could decide whether to call that kindness. She did not like it. She kept walking. Orren's shoulders were too tense ahead of her. The dark swallowed much of him, but not that. She could see the line of him. One arm held wrong, head slightly bowed, fingers opening and closing at his sides whenever he heard her move. He had not looked back. Good. The thought came first, then the other one, meaner and more honest. Yet, Evara hated herself for it. He was trying. She could see the effort in every inch of him. The path had been made from the shape of his worst fear, and still he walked. He had not reached for her. He had not sung. He had said her name once, in the chamber of falling rain, and the house had listened so hard the water froze in the air. But the term had not broken. Not then. She had told him not to do it again. He had not, so far. Evara followed. The path made no room for easy feelings. Love walked with anger. Relief with suspicion. Fear with tenderness. She had thought when he came into Volos's chamber that seeing him would settle at least one thing. Either she would run to him or step away. Either the sight of him would make the living world pull harder than the chair by the blue fire, or it would show her the truth she was afraid to name. Instead, Orren had arrived bleeding and beautiful in the terrible way ruin sometimes made a person beautiful against their will, and every answer in her had become two. She loved him. She feared the need in him. She wanted life. She feared the life waiting if they reached it. She wanted rest. She did not trust rest from a man who owned every room where it was offered. Ahead, Orren's step faltered. Evara slowed before she thought. He recovered and walked on. She did too. The first stretch had almost been ordinary, if any part of this could wear that word without shame. Stone underfoot, his breath ahead, her breath behind. The old shape of two people walking the same road. One a little before the other, because the path was narrow. Then the house began choosing what silence meant. It changed sound, not all at once. Nothing in the house did kindness enough to be obvious, unless it wished to. The change crept. Orren's breathing came back from the walls, larger than it should have been. His boot scraped, and the sound returned twice, then 3 times. Her own footfalls sometimes vanished completely, swallowed by dark before they reached him. Each time, his shoulders lifted. Each time she saw him not turn. Each time, she wanted to say, I am here. She did, once. The words had helped and hurt him at the same time. She heard it in his answer. I know. He had not known. That was why he said it like a song. So she stopped giving the path her voice. That, too, felt cruel. The corridor bent left. Orren paused before the turn. Evara waited behind him, close enough to see one hand close around nothing. He took the bend as if turning his whole life on a hinge. She followed. The next walls were pale and scored with marks that whispered when he passed. They whispered at him first. She knew by the way he went rigid. She could not hear the words until she drew near. Singer, son, killer, Evara stopped so suddenly her toes struck stone. The marks went quiet. Orren had stopped too. His back was to her. Always his back now. That was the term. That was the shape. That was what Valos had made of them. Orren, she said. He trembled. She had meant only to steady him. The sound of his name became another weight. I'm all right, he said. No, he was not. But that was not what he needed from her. No, she said. You're walking. The words landed. She saw them reach him. His shoulders bowed once, not collapsing, only receiving the small mercy of a plain thing. I'm walking, he said. Then walk. He did. She followed. When the marks whispered at her, they used different words. Daughter, drowned, unassigned. The last one chilled her. Unassigned. She passed the mark without touching it. The wall warmed beside her anyway, not under her hand. At her shoulder, as if some unseen presence walked the other side of the stone and kept pace. No, she whispered. Not to Orren, not to the house, not quite to herself. The warmth withdrew for 7 steps, then returned under her feet. The path opened into a round chamber where rain fell from nothing and touched nothing. Orren circled it first. Evara watched his back move through the silver column's light and saw how badly he wanted the water to be only water. Her own body remembered rain differently. Rain on a bad roof. Rain in the yard while fire ate the house. Rain on the dock, where Captain Veyers had bowed and called weather an apology. Rain on the deck, before the ship split. Rain in the sea, if sea could be counted as rain when the whole world entered the mouth. She stepped into the chamber after him. The falling drops hung between them and the dark above. Each one caught a fragment. Orren's shoulder, her bandaged hand, a streak of blue fire. The leaf-carved door. No, not there, not here. She blinked. The door was gone. The rain continued falling without sound. Then her foot slipped, only a little. The stone was wet beneath the silver column, and her body had become too accustomed to dry warmth underfoot. Her heel slid. She caught herself against the wall with the good hand, not the burned one. Her breath came in sharply. Orren heard. Of course. Evara. The rain stopped. Every drop hung in the air. Evara froze. Orren stood ahead of her, rigid, face turned forward with such violence that the muscles in his neck showed. He had said her name, not sung it, not commanded, but fear had put its hand under the word and lifted. The house listened. Evara felt it everywhere, in the wall, under her palm, in the suspended drops, in the bandage around her burned hand, in the place where her lungs remembered water. I slipped, she said, steady because the path needed steady from one of them. I am standing. The rain fell all at once. Sound crashed through the chamber. Orren flinched and went on. Evara followed, slower now. Do not do that again, she told him. She heard herself say it. He answered something. She did not keep the words. She kept the feel of them. Shame, apology, fear dressed in obedience. After the rain chamber, the path darkened. Here, sound disappeared almost completely. Orren's steps ahead came and went without pattern. Sometimes he seemed close enough that she could reach out and touch the back of his torn shirt. Sometimes the dark swallowed him so thoroughly that only his outline remained, a paler break in the blackness. The path narrowed. He turned sideways to pass through a tight place and closed his eyes while doing it. Evara saw that. He thought she might not, behind him in the dark. But she saw. The care of it hurt her. He came out on the other side and waited. Waiting could be kindness. Waiting could be pressure. She did not know which one he meant. Perhaps he did not either. Evara entered the narrow place. The walls brushed her shoulders. The dark mantle caught on a rough edge and held. She stopped, tugged once, and the cloth did not free. Ahead, Orren stood with his back to her. She could see him very clearly now. The path had placed a thin grey light around him, outlining his hair, his bowed head, the hand pressed against his thigh. He was not moving, neither was she. The mantle remained caught. She could ask him to wait. He was already waiting. She could ask for help. He could not help without turning, without reaching back, without making the whole bargain bleed. The absurdity of it almost made her laugh. She unhooked the cloth herself, thread by thread, until the mantle came free. Orren did not speak. Good. Her chest hurt. Bad. She stepped out of the narrow place and stopped 3 paces behind him. For one moment they stood close enough that she could hear him breathe. Not well, not easily. Each breath dragged across his torn throat. His body wanted to collapse. He was holding himself upright with want and terror, and whatever the river had made too clean in him. Evara wanted to put both hands on his back and say, "Enough. Sit. Bleed. We will not go another step until you stop making survival into proof." She wanted to say, "I am angry with you." She wanted to say, "I followed you." She wanted to say, "I do not know whether I am following now because I choose life, or because I cannot bear what my stopping would do to your face." She wanted one breath to belong to her before any of those sentences had to become a road. Orren said, "I am going to walk." A careful sentence. About his own steps. He was trying so hard. Evara closed her eyes. "Then walk," she said. He did. She followed. The greyness ahead brightened. The living world had a smell. That was the next cruelty. Wet leaves, soil, real air, rain that struck things and stayed, something growing under stone, stubborn and green. Evara's body reached for it before her mind could decide. The dead, or whatever she was now, still remembered lungs. Her chest opened around the scent, hungry for it. Life. The word did not shine. It stank of mud and rot and need and weather. She wanted it anyway. Then another sound came. Not ahead. Below. Behind. Everywhere. The path touched the house. Volos had begun singing again. Evara stopped walking. Only for one breath. The song did not call her. That was the first thing she understood. It did not say turn. It did not say stay. It did not say Evara Soln in the measured way Volos spoke her name. It did not reach for her like Orren's songs did, hand warm and hungry for answer. It did not ask for the body, did not lift her grief and arrange it until she leaned. It continued. That was all. A song not meant for her, a song she happened to hear. It moved under the path, under the stone, through all the rooms she had walked, the room of unfinished meals, the record hall, the shelves of returned things, the closed green-black door with leaves carved into it. The song held those places in their shape. It held the dead who had brought hunger with them and were learning, slowly or never, that they did not need to save the last bite. It held names that had been entered wrong, and names that had no one living left to correct them. It held objects too small for history and too large for letting go. It held a woman at a dry basin, perhaps. It held an empty leaf-carved chair. It held a door that smelled of spring rain. A thread of laughter moved under the melody. Female, low, almost amused, not kind, not cruel. Evara's hand lifted. The wall to her right warmed before she touched it. The path ahead remained open. Orren was only paces away. The living threshold lay beyond him, close enough that real rain silvered the air around his outline. But beside Evara, a seam appeared in the wall. Not a door, not yet. A line of green-black light, fine as thread. It smelled of soil after frost. Her throat tightened. "No," she whispered. The seam did not open. It waited. That was worse. Ahead. Orren took another step. He had not noticed she had stopped. Or he had, and was obeying. The back of him held more tension now. He had sensed the silence. Of course he had. The whole path had been made to teach him the size of it. Evara lifted her foot. She meant to continue. She did. The song below shifted, and a voice inside it said nothing in words, but somehow placed her name against the stone. Evara Solm, not as Orren said it, not as Volos weighed it, not as her father used it, when he wanted the daughter to fit back into the work of the house. The house almost said her name as a question, not received, not unassigned, not forfeit. Question. Her lifted foot hovered above the path. What are you? The warmth seemed to ask. Evara did not know. Alive? No. Dead? Yes, but not correctly. Daughter? No father left to hold the word. And yet the word still had hooks. Beloved? Yes. Not only. Returned? Not yet. Staying? Not yet. Following? She looked at Orren's back. He had stopped. Not turned. Stopped. The space between them filled with all the water in the world. Orren, she wanted to say, but his name might become a rope, or a knife, or a mercy that made the next mercy harder. The seam in the wall stayed beside her, green-black, patient. Volos's song went on below. It did not hurry her. That was the temptation, not the door, not the house, not Volos, with his exact hands and dangerous chair. The temptation was the absence of hurry. No one had given her that. Her father's hunger had set the pace. The fields failing, the roofs leaking, Orren's offer, the ship's tide, the wreck, the sea, the house opening. Before she understood the cost, Orren coming below with all his pain made into a demand he tried to call a question. Now the path waited. The house waited. The Lord below sang a song that would continue whether she answered or not. Evara took one breath. Only one. Her own. Ahead, Orren's shoulders rose. The breath had been enough to frighten him. Evara's heart clenched. She lowered her foot. Not backward. Forward. A step. Small, but hers. Before it touched the stone, Orren stopped breathing. She could hear that. Somehow she could hear that. Then he whispered, so softly that she might have imagined it. Do you follow? The question reached her without turning. It was not sung. It was not command. It was terror trying to wear words. Evara opened her mouth. Yes, she could say. I am here. I was here. I only needed... Orren turned. Not all at once. Shoulder first. Then neck. Then the side of his face, entering the grey light. The bargain broke before their eyes met. But their eyes did meet. That was the worst mercy. He saw her. 3 paces behind him. 1 foot lowered after a single pause. 1 hand still hovering near the warm wall. The green-black seam beside her, unopened. Her mouth already shaping his name. He saw that she had been there. Evara saw him understand. His face broke open. Relief, horror, shame, love, all of it, too late. The path took 1 deep breath. No, Evara said. She did not know whether she meant him, herself, or the house. The stone under her foot went cold.
Rain on the sill, salt in the flame. When the door goes quiet and the room lets go, lay the last word gently where the dark runs slow.
There is still a road under ash, under rain. There is still a voice trying not to break. Carry the song through the dark and the foam. Carry the name when the cold calls home. Leave one I will find you by listening. You will know me by name.
Rain on the sill,
Salt in the flame. The door goes quiet.